Hello everyone. This video presents a notable event that happened on each day from the past week in history. On June 29th, 1971, the first human space travelers to die while in space perished when their Soyuz 11 space capsule depressurized after leaving the Soviet space station Salyut 1. Salyut 1 was the first space station launched into orbit around the Earth in April of 1971, and despite its then groundbreaking technology, only lasted less than 6 months, of which humans occupied it for a total of 24 days. Soviet cosmonauts Georgy Dobrovolsky, Vladislav Volkov, and Viktor Petsayev had become the first ever spacemen to occupy a space station from June 7th to June 29th, 1971. A previous Soviet attempt to enter Salyut 1 had failed. Fortunately, these three Soviet heroes remain the only humans that have died while in space, the other space-related fatalities having occurred within Earth's atmosphere or on the ground. On June 30th, 1882, the assassin of President Garfield, Charles J. Guiteau, was executed by hanging in Washington, D.C. Guiteau had surrendered at the scene of the crime. Today we look at what happened to the assassins that killed 4 U.S. presidents. John Wilkes Booth, Confederate sympathizer and assassin of Abraham Lincoln in 1865, was hunted down 12 days later and killed by a U.S. Army soldier when Booth refused to surrender. Leon Czolgosz, an anarchist opposed to McKinley's interventionist policies, shot McKinley in 1901. Czolgosz was electrocuted 45 days after McKinley died of an infection from the bullet wound. After Lee Harvey Oswald shot and killed John F. Kennedy in 1963, he was tracked down and arrested after killing a police officer. Oswald was shot and killed while in police custody 2 days later. As a question for my students and subscribers, do you believe in the insanity defense? Please let us know in the comments. On July 1st, 1980, Canada officially adopted O Canada as its national anthem. Dating back to 1880, O Canada became the informal national anthem of Canada in 1939. Other countries have well-known stirring anthems, and we list a few for you to pick from as your favorite, including France's La Marseillaise from 1792, Germany's Deutschland über alles from 1922, the United Kingdom's God Save the King or Queen from 1745, and the United States' Star-Spangled Banner, written in 1814 and adopted in 1931. Recent events have thrust the Ukrainian national anthem into the spotlight. Ukraine has not yet perished, composed in 1992, with stirring words added in 2003. Do you pick a favorite from our list, or do you choose another great anthem as your favorite? On July 2nd, 1816, a French sailing ship, the Méduse, struck bottom off the coast of Mauritania, dooming the vessel. The Méduse was abandoned, with about 250 people loading into the ship's launches and 146 men and a single woman forced to climb aboard a makeshift raft to be towed by the launches. The crowded and starving people on the raft were cut loose to fend for themselves, resulting in 13 days of terror, with some survivors murdered, others washed or thrown overboard, and some eaten by their raft mates. Only 15 survived. A painting depicting the horror of the raft of the Medusa was painted by Theodore Géricault in 1818 to 1819, a haunting and horrible picture. Another creepy painting is The Garden of Earthly Delights by Hieronymus Bosch from 1510, the centerpiece of a triptych showing a surreal scene of naked people engaged in gluttony and amorous activity. What painting would you call the creepiest? On July 3rd, 1996, Prime Minister John Major of the United Kingdom made an announcement most Scots would find long overdue. Major announced that the Stone of Scone would be returned to Scotland after being held in England since 1296. Not to be confused with the delicious breakfast pastry, the stone gets its name from Scone Abbey in Scone, Scotland, where the red sandstone block once resided. A sacred relic, the stone has been used in the coronation ceremonies of Scottish, English, and British monarchs. It has a cross carved on it and metal rings to aid in moving it. So why did we call it the Stone of Destiny? Because this 335-pound hunk of rock has several names, including Jacob's Pillow Stone and the Tanis Stone. The Stone of Scone now rests in Edinburgh Castle in Scotland, along with the crown jewels of Scotland. What other famous stones can you think of? On July 4th, 1881, Tuskegee Institute opened, beginning a glorious history of educating mostly African American students. Known as an historically black college or university, Tuskegee is known for the name of the Tuskegee Airmen of World War II fame, black American pilots that proved to be as good or better than any other pilots in the world. Originally known as Tuskegee Normal School for Colored Teachers, Tuskegee is now known as Tuskegee University, a top-notch school in many areas. The school boasts 2,600 students and counts among its past students successful people in all careers and such notable people as Alice Marie Coachman, first black woman to win an Olympic gold medal, General Daniel Chappie James, Lonnie Johnson, NASA engineer and inventor of the Super Soaker, and Dr. Ptolemy A. Reed, former Prime Minister of Guyana. On July 5th, 1996, a sheep named Dolly was born, the product of a cloning experiment making her the first ever mammal to be cloned. Using an adult somatic cell from one sheep, an egg cell from another sheep, and the resulting embryo implanted in the womb of a third sheep, saw baby Dolly carried to term. This experiment proved that taking DNA from any cell in a mammal's body other than a gamete could be used to form a clone of that mammal, the implied meaning that any mammal could be cloned, including humans. Dolly lived for 7 years, developing a common sheep form of cancer not related to being a clone. Further experiments with pigs, cats, dogs, horses, and cattle were successful, leading to the fear that humans would be the next clones. So far, humans have not been cloned, though they could be. As a question for my students and subscribers, should they? As a question for my students and subscribers, which event from this past week in history would you most like to learn more about? Please let me know in the comment section below this video. If you liked this video and would like to receive notification of new videos, please feel welcome to subscribe to History and Headlines and become one of our patrons. Your viewership is much appreciated. For image, audio, and other credits and attributions for components of the individual videos in this compilation, please see the descriptions of their respective videos, which are linked to in this video's description.